It is my great pleasure to introduce one of the most respected voices in international education and today's keynote speaker, Dr. Brian Whalen. I first had the privilege of working with Brian when he served as the executive director of American International Recruitment Council, or AIRC, a period when we forged a strategic partnership between AIRC and SimpleEd that had a lasting impact on how institutions and agency partner collaborate to advance international education. Brian's leadership at AIRC helped elevate standards in international student recruitment and deepen the field's commitment to ethical practices, quality assurance, and meaningful partnerships between institutions, agencies, and students. His voice has consistently championed a vision of collaboration that puts students at the center of every decision and has helped shape strategic thinking across higher education globally. Long before his leadership at AIRC, Brian built a remarkable career as a scholar, educator, and global education leader, serving in senior international roles at institutions like Dickinson College and Marist College, founding and publishing the first peer-reviewed journal dedicated to study abroad, and shaping dialogue between global learning in countries around the world. Those of us who've had the opportunity to work with him know Brian not just as an expert, but as a thoughtful partner invested in building bridges across cultures, institutions, and sectors. Today, he brings that experience and insight to our conversation on what effective partnerships mean in a rapidly changing international education landscape. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Brian Whalen.
Thank you, Yasser, for your kind introduction, and thanks also for all that you've done to advance the field of international education through Simple Ed. You and your colleagues should be enormously proud of everything that you've done to support international partnerships and opportunities for students. It makes an extremely important contribution to our world. I've always appreciated the name you chose for your organization, Simple Ed. It reflects the fact that we need to remain true to one simple, enduring idea that by creating and sustaining successful international education partnerships, we multiply the impact we have on students, thereby ensuring their successful international journeys. It's great to be here with everyone to kick off this wonderful event that you're convening. My appreciation for partnerships began at the very start of my career 40 years ago. During my first job in international education, I was serving as an on-site director for education abroad programs in Italy. And those were the days before cell phones and the internet, when working in this role was often a lonely task, stationed far away from the home campuses that were sending students abroad, with truly little communication over the course of an academic year. To combat this and to instill a sense of professional camaraderie, a group of directors from various programs around Italy used to meet and to share and discuss ideas and challenges related to our programs. We usually met over a weekend at a vineyard or a villa somewhere in the countryside of Italy, genuinely beautiful venues for sharing our respective war stories and ideas. And the meetings were enormously helpful to all of us and foreshadowed what in later years we would codify as best practices and professional standards. These meetings led to the establishment of one of the first U.S. Overseas Education Abroad Associations, ACUPI, the Association of American College and Universities in Italy, of which I was founding vice president. And ACUPI brought institutions and organizations together in a formal way to partner in programming and in advocacy efforts. And the effectiveness of our group was tested and proven when the Italian authorities began to investigate and in some cases close down U.S. programs in Italy, claiming that they were liable for not paying tax on student tuition fees. Within months, ACUPI collaborated with a leading attorney and Italian legislators to draft and pass a new law that's still on the books, and it exempts U.S. education abroad programs from paying such a tax. The Association of Partnerships had proven its worth, and ACOPE is still a thriving, important association today. And for me, when I returned to the U.S. from Italy in 1992, I had this heightened understanding of the benefits that partnerships can deliver. And throughout my career, I've been involved in facilitating this model of engagement whenever I possibly can. I've come to believe that organizational partnerships multiply the ways that we support and impact students, and they also can amplify our advocacy initiatives to key stakeholders. Here's the mathematical formula for the power of partnerships. 2 organizations that partner equal 3, or 1 + 1 = 3. That's a formula that recognizes the multiplying power of partnership, something that Aristotle expressed 2,300 years ago when he wrote, "The whole is greater than the sum of the parts." You've probably heard of that and are familiar with that concept. In the same way, quality institution agency partnerships are one of the most effective ways to ensure that international students have successful educational journeys. Over recent decades, this model of student enrollment has changed the world for the better by helping to increase the number and diversity of students who have benefited from international education. Due to our strong advocacy efforts by many people and associations and organizations, our institution agency partnerships have over time become valued as a foundational way to ensure international student success. It's not always been an easy road, and partnerships face perpetual challenges and threats that stretch our ability to sustain them. And we find ourselves now in an especially turbulent period in which ecological limits are being breached, social trust is eroding, AI is reshaping cognition, politics are destabilizing, liberty and freedoms are under attack. Inequality is deepening and biodiversity is declining at alarming rates. And I've only picked indicators that are on the top of my mind at this moment. Each of these and many other issues are daunting, and they, of course, have direct bearing on international student recruitment. Let me quickly note the impacts of global instability on international student recruitment. And each of these impacts, and I'm sure there are others, you know them very well because each day you're challenged by them. First, in the U.S. context, we see more restrictive visa and immigration policies that have led to dramatic increases in visa delays and denials. National policy uncertainty with potential changes to duration of status, threats to the optional practical training program, and proposed H-1B lottery changes that favor high salary applicants, making it difficult to attract students. All of these, plus travel restrictions that restrict entry for students from specific countries, are challenges that we have to face and overcome. Second, the shifts in global politics and the perception of safety are challenging our recruitment efforts. Cooled U.S.-China relations continue to affect enrollment numbers from the top source country. Anti-immigration rhetoric and a perceived lack of a welcoming culture in major destination countries like the U.S., but even the U.K. and Canada, are causing students to consider alternative destinations, as well as concerns about personal safety that students have. Third, economic pressures and affordability are additional major deterrents for international students. We continue to see rising tuition fees and high living costs, often exceeding $50,000 annually, and these are creating significant financial barriers for international families. But it's not just that. We've always had those increases in fees year on year. But now we also have, compounding this, reduced purchasing power caused by global economic instability, which has decreased the purchasing power of families in key markets, and that pushes them to seek more affordable alternatives. In addition, budget constraints for institutions means that recruitment offices are facing reduced resources to perform increasingly expensive outreach. Fourth, we're also seeing heightened global competition for students with alternative destinations like Germany, Japan, and South Korea increasing their market share by offering lower cost, high quality English taught programs. Market saturation is also a factor here. While the US is still a dominant player, Canada and the UK seem to have reached capacity, leading to stricter caps on student permits. Fifth, while students and families are demanding career outcomes and employability, there is still a lack of clear pathways for international students focused on return on their investment. As we well know, they are looking for clear, straightforward pathways to work, like OPT, CPT in the US, and long-term immigration. Instead, we have limited post-study work brought on by the tightening of post-graduation work opportunities in traditional destinations, which makes these countries less attractive compared to countries with clear, favorable immigration pathways. Sixth, you know much better than I do about the rapidly changing communication and behavioral shifts that are characteristic of this generation of prospective students. These changes challenge us to evolve quickly to meet our market audience. Prospective students are skipping traditional brochures and relying on social media, short-form video, peer reviews, and this requires us to continue to adopt new and more personalized communication strategies. Students require high-touch engagement that is immediate, personalized, and in some regions mobile first to build trust in a volatile environment. And finally, we know well the major factor of disruptions to the flow of students from major source markets. Over 70% of U.S. international students come from China and India. Disruptions in either market cause dramatic instability in the recruiting pipeline. We've all learned the lesson and the wisdom of market diversification. So in the face of these significant challenges, how do we best go about our international education work? And here I mean personally, on an individual basis. Allow me to offer some suggestions that are perhaps on a more philosophical plane. The first thing that occurs to me is that we should not overlook the psychological impact the world situation has on us personally. We live it, we are part of it, and we should not underestimate how it affects our well-being. As international educators, though, we have an advantage because we can find comfort and solace in the work that we do to help students succeed. The simple ed actions that we take every day in our interactions with students are a shining light in what sometimes can feel like an overwhelming situation. Embrace the joy of this work and remember the privileged opportunity you have to change the world for the better, one student at a time. Recognizing the significance of that can provide comfort and inspiration to you. A second suggestion is about the importance of remaining true to our global education values that provide grounding for our work. It's well worth reviewing on a regular basis the deeper meanings behind the work that we do and the career that we have chosen. Think back to what initially attracted you to working in the international education field in the first place. Was it the opportunity to foster mutual understanding and respect among people of diverse backgrounds and perspectives? Or was it to help students to achieve their potential and become global citizens? Have your reasons changed over time, and if so, how and why? We international educators are wired differently, and that's a good thing. When people ask about your work, tell them about the deeper values behind what you do, and don't be afraid to say that you are improving the world and tell people how you are doing it. More than ever, we need expressions of hope. Our international education values include ensuring peace, mutual understanding, and prosperity. That's a message that you should own and feel good about spreading to others. A third suggestion about how to respond to our current situation on a personal level is to lean more than ever into your partnerships. The unprecedented external challenges provide opportunities to dialogue with your partners. Ask them what they need and how you can help and how they can help you. Challenging situations can lead to partnership growth and a deepening of existing ties. I remember after Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans in August of 2005, the colleges and universities located there had the challenge of trying to open up for the academic year, and most could not do so. At the time, I was working for an institution that had partnerships with three of these New Orleans universities, and we reached out to them and offered to enroll any of their students for the fall term at the same tuition, room, and board fees as their home institution, which was less than our institutional fees. We ended up hosting 25 students, and other universities stepped up and did the same. This led to deepening partnerships with these schools, cooperating on creative international and domestic off-campus programs. Similarly, now is a great time to reach out to your partners, to understand their challenges, and look for ways that you can expand your relationship to support each other. These efforts will only make your partnerships much stronger in the long run. Remember that partnerships are a two-way street, and the more you give, the more you receive in return. A final suggestion: do not shy away from engaging with others to express your values. The world needs your voice now more than ever. It counts, it matters, it makes a difference. Do everything you can to support efforts to influence policies and politics that impact international education and that threaten to undermine the values you hold dear. And remember the 1 + 1 = 3 formula. Amplify your voice through and with your partners. And do not forget the most effective way to impact the greater good of international education. Support the critical efforts of our professional associations that speak with a collective voice and influence policies at the regional, national, and international levels. Now, during challenging times such as this, the international education field has a way of coming together to join forces through more aggressive, focused advocacy, and by adapting and innovating programs and practices to new realities. While it is no doubt a stressful and demanding time, it can also be thrilling and inspiring. There's an interesting truth about historical periods that have threatened international education. These periods have also led to innovation and rebirth. How might our international student recruitment partnerships adapt and improve in the face of our current challenges? Allow me to offer just 3 short reflections. First, we should recognize that partnerships should be more than merely transactional. They should be defined by more than numbers of students and the amount of money that changes hands. Reflect on how they serve a higher purpose and put that description in your agreements, in press releases, on your website, and describe its significance to others in conversation. Each hour that you spend focusing on developing and sustaining your high-quality partnerships contributes to the tangible improvement of our world. Recognize this, the broader positive impacts of partnerships, and articulate it in your communications with your stakeholders. Second, keep the focus on the students, who are the best kind of ethical guidepost I can think of. Ensuring that what we do benefits students is the best way to ensure the quality of our partnerships. Student outcomes ground our judgments and actions and provide a way to think clearly and consistently about our work and the metrics that we use to assess progress toward our goals. And here I pose a challenge to all of us. We rightly spend a lot of time and expense on quantifying students, assessing our success according to student numbers, the corresponding number of internet clicks and attendance at events, the number of inquiries and interactions, the number of applicants, acceptances, enrolled and matriculated students, and retention and graduation rates. These quantitative measures are key to tracking the degree to which we are successful, and they alert us to how we need to improve. But do we spend enough time assessing the qualitative dimension of the international student experience? And do we openly and consistently share our best practice approaches in facilitating student success? Focusing on the experiences of students and what they tell us about the quality of their entire recruitment, enrollment, and alumni experiences is an underemphasized dimension of our field. Documenting and sharing student outcomes of the stages of the student life cycle will help us to better achieve our goals and keep us focused on the ethical core of our work. There's an opportunity here for the agency and institutional partners to contribute significantly to the field by collecting data, conducting research, and telling the story of the entire life cycle of the international student. Some of this work is already being done, but it tends to be segmented into areas of the student life cycle. It's time to tell the broader story of the student journey with the data to back it up. And then third, we need to be open to the latest ideas and innovative business models that might disrupt the status quo. Innovation will help us to adapt to the inevitable changes and challenges. We must strive to be inclusive, to invite differences of opinion and a variety of perspectives. In our interactions with colleagues, and especially in the context of our professional associations that set standards of good practice, we must practice transparency, proceed by consensus, and strive to find solutions that are valuable for and relevant to all types of institutions and organizations. And most importantly, whatever we do, the result should be to benefit students. We must stay aligned with that common mission because it provides the ethical compass that guides our decision making. As a final thought, I want to applaud you for the critically important work that you're doing. You provide quality international opportunities for students and support them in their educational journeys, and that's a huge responsibility. Your work gives us all hope that globally educated students will, due to your efforts, be ethical and effective stewards of our environment, our societies, our nations. That is something of which you should be most proud. Now, there's something that I want to share with you that is more personal, and it is about caring for yourself. Our profession is an odd mix of real joy on the one hand and extreme anxiety on the other. And during my career, I thought a lot about this. How do we stay balanced when we experience swings between these extremes? The answer that I found was to cultivate other interests and hobbies that I could immerse myself in, including hiking, nature, collecting books, playing guitar. And pursuing these hobbies has given me a broader grounding in my life and has helped to free my mind from the concerns of work, which we know can often be overwhelming. So in this spirit, I want to try something a bit different and leave you with a short song that I have adapted from the great Texas songwriter Townes Van Zandt. And I've changed the words to make what we might call a message song to those international students you support every day, or it could be viewed as a message that resonates with your own international education life. Regardless, I think I'm calling this song the Simple Ed song. And I'll sign off from this and leave that with you. Thank you so much. It's been a privilege and fun to be able to do this, and wish you well during your event. Take care.
There's no stronger wind than the one that blows down a lonesome railroad line. No prettier sight than looking back at a town you left behind. There's nothing that's as real as a hope that's in your mind. Close your eyes and think about the morning. Rise up and lean into the day. There's lots of things along the road that we'd surely like to see. We'd like to lean into to the wind and tell ourselves we're free. There's nothing that is louder than thinking what you will be. Close your eyes and think about the morning. Rise up and lean into the day. There's a long way to go to learn a lot of things, to see the world, know thyself, and all that will bring. So move along the open road and spread your wide wings. Close your eyes and think about the morning. Rise up and lean into the day. There are detours coming along the path ahead. We can only imagine with a mix of hope and dread. Stay true to your heart and the reasons in your head. Close your eyes and think about the morning. Rise up and lean into the day. There's no stronger wind than the one that blows down a lonesome railroad line. No prettier sight than looking back at a town you left behind. There's nothing that's as real as a hope that's in your mind. Close your eyes